Who benefits from couples counseling and couples coaching the most? How do you know it's time to call a therapist or a counselor or a coach? How do you know? In my experience, when couples are not successfully cleaning up their messes anymore, and when they're tabling and sweeping lots of issues or some big issues, like we don't talk about my father anymore, or we don't talk about my job, or we're not going to talk about your sister, and it goes on and on. The list gets longer and the conversations get shorter of the topics that we can talk about. So when that's happening and you're tabling, like we're not going to talk about that. Sweeping things that happened, you sweep them under the rug because those conversations don't go well. And so we're not doing the work of repair. And this is the time that you need help. You need help because you're not doing it. You're not doing the repair regularly. And so now damage is going to exceed the connection. And that thins out a connection. It makes it thinner. People start backing up into what I call an optimal distance. Optimal distance is where people have figured out, couples have figured out how close I can get to you without getting hurt, and how far I can remain from you without being totally negligent. So I'm not leaving the relationship, or I'm not going to leave the house, or I'm not going to leave all of our conversations, but I'm definitely not in. So that's like an optimal distance. And it can go on for years because it's functional, but it's not connective. And there's a big difference. It's protection over connection. It's not connection over protection. And that's what we're always looking for. We're looking for more connection. So that's when it's time to call for help. What kind of help? Any kind of help that will allow you to hear each other well enough so that you can start validating the other person instead of debating them all the time, right? Any kind of help that will allow you, both of you, to talk about painful things in the past, in the present, that have come between the two of you. You don't want to bring like lists and lists into the office, but you want to bring a couple of our patterns into the office, and you want to make sure your name is on the list. Like, I do this when he does that when he, it's like a little bit of him or a little bit of her and more you. It's better if you bring who you become into the office, because that shows a higher level of accountability. You don't want to drag somebody in and try to use the coach or the counselor as a ref, right? Our goal is not to be right. Our goal is to create a win-win. And if we're not being heard, if we're not allowed to talk about like my past, or we're not allowed to talk about politics, or we're not allowed to talk about money, or we don't talk about sex, then that's sweeping and tabling all these important topics that make a smaller and smaller version of your relationship. And so, yeah, it's going to create some anxiety because you've been avoiding, both of you. You figured out how to avoid. But you see where that's gotten you. That doesn't work either. So bring a small list into the office of a couple of patterns that the two of you don't do well together on, and make sure your accountability for your part is in those patterns, and learn how to clean up some resentment or past hurts or unresolved hurt that is still keeping you from each other, and learn the skill of repair and the skill of trying to have a hard conversation by keeping your cool and hearing the other person and validating them. That's what you go for, because You don't have to go for the individual events. You want to go for the patterns, the big patterns that are dragging the two of you down and sabotaging your love and your connection. If you want to hear more about how I work, you can go to my website, breakthroughcouples.com, or stick around here and subscribe for more videos like this one.